That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore. Available on Amazon and everywhere. Hey guys, welcome back to the Lou Perez Podcast. I'm your host, Lou Perez, and I am so excited to be joined by Paul Bellini and Scott Thompson, who you might know as the members of Mouth Congress. And Mouth Congress has a new album out. It's called Valley of Song, and we're here to talk about it. So, Scott, Paul, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I saw you guys live in Philadelphia. Probably was it a year ago?
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you guys came in from Canada. It was you two, and then your other band members was Gord and
Rob.
Gordon and Rob.
And a beatbox.
And a beatbox, yeah, because I noticed for the album's really well produced, and there are drums on it. And I was thinking, I was like, I don't think they had drums when I saw them live. So.
Well, it's kind of hard to travel with a drummer, but he joined right after that show.
Yeah, right after the show, we got a real drummer.
Yeah. Now, when did you guys start Mouth Congress?
Oh God, a million. I mean, when we were young,
November 1984.
Same as the Kids in the Hall. It all sort of began at the same time.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. And then one took off, and it was obvious the Kids in the Hall were going to be a thing. And so just abandoned Mouth Congress, really. Not abandoned it, just said, put it aside. And we kept returning to it over the years until a few years ago when Paul dumped all of our old songs online, and we got, I guess, discovered.
What was the punk scene like in Canada, like in the 80s?
Well, it was a true punk scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I don't know. We weren't really like part of any scene. We were more part of the comedy scene. The punk scene was, deeply homophobic. So there was no way we could make it in rock and roll because we were both openly gay, and nobody did that back then.
Well, we played with our friend's band, Brian Hiltz's band. What were they called?
I Want.
And he'd always put us either before or ahead of his set. And they actually were a backup band for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, it was a very raw scene. It was, there was a few clubs that we go to. And I don't think we really thought of ourselves as I don't know if we really thought of ourselves as a real band. It was more like a hobby.
Yeah.
Or real singers.
Still don't. But it just was a hobby that we did, and it was fun. It was something our friends did. It was almost like a way that our friends hung out. Everybody would get together. We would make up songs, and I don't think we really thought, this could be a career. I never really thought, I can have a career in rock.
But what was different about us is that we approached the writing of lyrics as sketch comedy writers. So we weren't writing Baby, I Love You or Get Up and Dance type songs. We always tried to find some kind of meaning or put a character in and sing through that character's perspective. Like we were always trying to.
Yeah. And also lots of perspectives. Like we never really, if we took on a persona, it would just be like, this is the person, this is a guy, an MC in the Weimar Republic in Germany, and he's the MC, and the Nazis are coming, and we'll just sing what he would sing.
When we did our first album, we included that song, which is called The Reich.
The Reich.
And it's a cabaret performer who decides to go with the Nazis because they pay better. And the record company took it from the vinyl release, but they didn't delete it from the CD version of the album.
They made a
mistake. And so it's not listed on any of the artwork, but it's still on the CD.
It's still on the CD. Yeah.
It's kind of become like a hip track.
But they took it out. They said, this is beyond the pale. We're like, why? Well, it's just this guy singing about the Third Reich. I go, yeah, he's a performer. He's just going with the best job. He's not, don't judge him. And we're not saying this is what you should do, but this is.
Well, I love the idea of, Bob Fosse's Cabaret, that the ending is a happy ending. It's like this is fantastic. This is going to be amazing for the arts. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah. So they didn't like that, but then of course, again, as Paul said, they took it out and then forgot to actually cut it. So it's like it's an Easter egg. There's a Nazi Easter egg in that release.
Yeah, that's perfect because like on Easter, that's when the Nazis will rise again. They will come back. Well, Paul, like you said, writing these songs from like as sketch comedians. I mean, I've been a fan of you guys ever since I was a kid, watching, the Kids in the Hall on HBO, and then later on in reruns constantly on Comedy Central. And what I love about you guys then, and I love about you guys now, is like you're so fucking insane in the best way possible. Where like I would think, like, someone would think like, oh, Lou, you've been doing comedy for over 20 years. You've seen it all. And it's like, no. And then it's like, no, then I hear a song from Mouth Congress from fucking 84. And I'm like, what the hell are these guys doing? And then I hear your new stuff, like Booker, where one of the lines is Booker for a hooker with a chimp.
Exactly.
And I'm bowled over in like laughing at, in laughter. And then I'm like, how not only did you guys come up with it, but you're doing it, and you're doing it as, older, mature gentlemen.
That's right.
But you're still frigging, you're completely mad. And it's, and I love seeing that. I'm so happy that you guys are still doing
that
it.
Song, it's about a guy who figured out a way to make a living on a really lazy prostitute. And he got a chimp that liked to fuck. He put them together, and Bob's your uncle. And we're not going to judge him. He lucked out.
He's proud of himself. He's an impresario.
Yeah, he's very proud of himself. And on that song came about, all the songs were really written, like most of them in my living room. Turned my living room for a year into like a studio. The boys would come over. We'd drink a little, smoke a little. We'd start playing. We would just kind of improvise. And then later on, we'd listen to the tapes and go, well, there's a song here. And like Booker was really just one line. Booker for a hooker with a chimp. I remember saying and going, that's the hook. And that was the hook. That was the actual lyrical hook. And also the sound of it. And so we would just keep working on it. Then the next time we get together, we'd expand it, and then we'd work on the lyrics. And that's how the songs were born. And so, because I just thought, that's hilarious. And we thought you shouldn't do that. But the whole idea for the album was like, well, I don't want to. There's no one. We're going to do it ourselves. We're going to self-produce it. No one can say no. And after coming out of the Kids in the Hall experience with Amazon, I was in a place where I went, I don't want anyone saying no. Even if they're right, I still don't want to hear it. Like, I want to have the chance to fail. You know what I mean? I want to have the chance to fail big time.
Yeah.
No gatekeepers.
And then the album's available on Spotify. And when you talk about like, the writing process, I would love it if like if we could write something where you guys are, going through the songs and in the corner is Quincy Jones just nodding his head. He's like, that's the one. That's the one. Booker or Hooker. And
you get Rashida to play him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. She can come out. Well, what I there's the madness, the insanity of the stuff that you do, and the songs are really well produced. Like I was,
we were very lucky. You know what? This album has no business being as good as it is musically.
I think that's an honest way to put it.
Well, it shouldn't be this good.
It's mixed really well. And it moves too. Yeah, it's really hard not to move. Yeah, and the first track, which is, I think is a great song, just flat out, is Honk. Yes. And it's an homage to the truckers in Canada. Yes. And this is great. And I'm happy that, we've talked about this stuff we have. for a while off camera. And I'm glad that we're able to talk about it now, which I think speaks volumes to, I guess, your bravery, but taking on a subject that would get people, canceled and have gotten people canceled. And when it specifically talking about the truckers, have gotten the bank accounts frozen and have really destroyed lives. So yeah, can you bring us like up to speed, or or the history lesson on the trucker movement and how you guys got involved in to come and make a song about it?
Well, when the trucker convoy happened in Canada, I mean, the experience between Canada and the U.S. were different in the pandemic. Canada went hard, and Toronto, where Paul and I both live and were all through the pandemic, Toronto had the most lockdowns of any city in the entire world, and Canada went harder than anybody anywhere in the West. So when the trucker thing happened, it was like our 7th lockdown in Toronto. Everywhere else, the pandemic was ending, but not here in Canada. They were doubling down. And so when the truckers started, and they started like in the West, and they started heading for Ottawa, to me, it felt like the cavalry is coming to rescue us. Because I thought, this makes no sense. Why are we still locked down? What's happening? We'd had the vaccine for a year. And so I was naively thinking that this is going to be wonderful. And I didn't really conceive how heavy-handed the government's reaction would be to it. And so that was it. We were just swept up in it. And I just went, I don't see any malevolence in this. And I thought that the reaction of the government was so heavy-handed that we had no business but to write a song about it. And I knew it would get us in trouble. Although the truth is, it hasn't gotten us in trouble at all. Like, no one's paid any attention to this album.
Paul?
The song kind of started like all our songs with one word, which was honk. Mm-hmm. And it was just such a funny, was this song going to be about migrating flocks of birds, or was it going to be about a truck? And the Freedom Convoy, like Scott said, they were unnecessarily vilified by our prime minister, who turned them into racists and horrible things. And the media went for it. They took the bait, and it bothered me that people couldn't see the difference between this protest or like the protests we're enjoying right now with the pro-Palestine movement. Or what was happening when all the statues came down a few years ago. Just those sort of things was, it didn't add up. And then I think we were actually writing the lyrics. We were working on the lyrics the night of the Emergencies Act was invoked. Mm-hmm. And we were horrified that this would give the federal government a legal opportunity to freeze bank accounts. And I thought, this is not the country I grew up in.
Yeah, that was it for me.
It was so vulgar. And remember, this was about Canadian truckers trying to get back into the country and not being vaccinated. When we flew back from Philadelphia, we had to do this bullshit on our phones called Arrive Can. And it took fucking forever to set up that fucking thing. We were almost late for the flight. Remember, we got there 2 hours early. We were almost late because of Arrive Can. And it's just a series of the same stupid questions over and over again, right? And, so we experienced firsthand the madness of trying to get back into Canada. And we were vaccinated, both of us. This is the irony.
You see, in Canada, you couldn't go anywhere if you weren't vaccinated. You couldn't travel between provinces. You couldn't go into restaurants. You couldn't do anything.
You had to show your passport. To get into a restaurant. It's ridiculous.
He used language that was very dehumanizing about people that, the vax and the non-vax. And I thought it was ugly. And but the song itself came about from, again, improvising. And it was just, I guess it was this weird not chord chain, because I don't know music at all. But we would sing like, sometimes all that one can do is, and it was just the jump up. And I think that made it makes it kind of a fascinating song in terms of, it's not honk, it's very honk, it's very light, almost angelic. And I think that's what makes the song a great song.
It's a little bit sad, isn't it, the song?
There is a sadness to the song, and it's like there's no anger in the honk. It's just sometimes human beings are pushed to the wall and there's nothing you can do. but honk. Just basically saying help. And for us, and back and when we were writing it, it was just, it felt kind of hopeless. And I just thought, like, they'll never let us out. And I lived alone, and I think at that point I was thinking, I don't think anybody in charge of the pandemic lives alone, because they wouldn't have done this for 2 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that, and so that was it. And I knew that people would like, you can't say anything positive about the truckers. And we're like, well, we can say anything positive about anything we want. And also, they're just people, and they're being vilified, and this is not the way it really is. And so, and also, it's a banger of a song. It's got
it's really such bullshit, because the year before, everybody was going, thank you for your service. Yeah. Brave people delivering the goods that we need to live. Like, there was just such an outpouring of bullshit that took a 360 turn. And it was like, both are stupid.
Trying to make them
shut up.
Racist because they're like working class white men and all the rest of it. I'm like, but I look at 40% of truckers in Canada are Indian. So it's not true.
We went to one of the rallies actually in Toronto.
True. The media was portraying it in a way that just wasn't true. But we just happened to write, I think, a really good song.
Yeah. I think one thing, I'm not in the music biz, but one suggestion I would make is if you release it as a single, on the B side, don't use the Reich. Don't use that.
We'll tell you that we won't use the Reich, but we'll make a mistake. How the Reich is there again.
It'll get out.
But we have
people will pounce on it.
You know, Lou, we have a video for the honk, and that.
Nice.
We have 7 videos that we've made.
7.
Are
they all available on YouTube?
Well, we release them once a month, and this month is going to be "Girl on the Mountain."
Girl on the Mountain.
That will be our 3rd video release. We've released Gabor's, and we've done "Girl on the Mountain,"
Evangeline.
and Evangeline. Those are our first 3 videos, but we've made 7 over the last couple of years. I mean, it took a year to record, a year to produce, and then a year to make videos and all that. So it's been a 3-year journey.
With the Gabors, it's correct me if I'm wrong, it's an argument over who's the best Gabor. Is that?
Yes.
And it's probably the hardest song. Like, it's a hard punk song. And that's what I love about it. I think what makes it so funny is it's these two old fags are so adamant about this.
Well, you got to take a stand.
It's about taking a stance, yeah. That's all it is. So the album veers wildly from the Gabors to honk. It's something for everyone.
Yeah. Well, with my boys, you guys know I have a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old, and something that's been a lot of fun is playing for them music, you know, that I listened to when I was younger. And, you know, when I was in middle school, high school, I listened to a lot of, you know, rock and punk. And now it gives me an opportunity to sort of look back on who was I listening to, and also what did we look like then. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of the bands that I listened to, I'm sort of transported back to the concerts where it was like a lot of aggressive young men,
yes,
who would just, you know, wanted to jump around, bang into each other, and go for it, you know, like a real masculine thing. Yes. And something that we've, you know, talked about a lot, especially in regards to like your character, Buddy Cole, you know, we could talk about later, is, you know, this masculinity that I think transcends whether you're gay or straight.
Yes.
There's something about men that, you know, sounds like, you know, like the song Honk and the album, like we want to just fucking move around. We want to, you know, unleash a little something. And
important. I think it's important for society to let that out.
Yeah. And you guys are definitely doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Even guys like us, like, I mean, when I was young, I used to go to punk clubs and I used to just love going crazy on the dance floor and always shoving each other. I loved it. I loved it. I had to do it, actually.
Well, we were never afraid of straight guys. Like, a lot of our gay friends would never have lived the lives we did.
Yeah, no.
They would just go to gay clubs and bathhouses, and that's about it.
Yeah.
We went to, the rock clubs.
Yeah, I never was afraid.
Comedy
I had four
clubs.
brothers, so I grew up that way. So it was never men were never a mystery to me,
Or a threat.
or not really. No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was John Waters who said that he always felt more at home at like dive bars and punk bars than at like gay bars.
Yes, that's absolutely true. That would definitely be us too. Yeah, we're definitely from the John Waters school. It's John Waters School of Faggotry.
Which I applied. I didn't get in. I didn't have the I didn't have the grades.
Well, you keep trying, Lou. Keep trying.
I know. Sorry, boys.
Just shave that mustache to a little.
I'm so disappointed.
Pencil. A little Clark Gable. I need a little Clark Gable.
Oh man, you should know. You should do a Fu Manchu. I think you can pull that off.
Yeah, I've had that before.
Have you had it where it goes below the chin, like about half an inch?
Oh, Zappa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Zappa. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, the soul patch.
Yeah, you got a good beard. You could do it.
Thank you. I've been getting a lot. The other night, I had a show, and I pointed out that people are saying that I look like a young George Carlin now because my hair is a little long.
Oh.
And I said, yeah, that sounds great, but a young George Carlin is still like 65. So it's like, what the fuck, And the more I look like George Carlin, the more I know I'm losing my hair, And then it's at some point I'm gonna have to do the little bullshit, ponytail. It's like, come on, we all know what's going on.
Wearing a toque indoors isn't gonna work for you.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. So you guys, started out in comedy together, and obviously, working, the legends you are and the legendary, Kids in the Hall. What was now I'm asking like sort of the same general question, like, what was the punk scene like? What was the comedy scene like in Toronto at that time?
It was great.
Fun, really wild.
There was this like explosion of comedy troupes at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we knew them all. Everybody knew each other because there was only 2 venues, right?
Yeah, it was small. It was small, and it was very, very wild, and anything went. Yeah, I mean, comedy scene was quite big. It was between a couple of clubs, but at the time, Second City kind of owned sketch comedy, and Yuck Yucks owned stand-up. And then we came along, and then we kind of blew it up. Suddenly, a bunch of other troops outside of the mainstream came of age. I mean, all the Kids in the Hall went through Second City, but we were all let go.
We were lucky though to be one of those cities that had a Second City.
Yes,
because I think that kind of like sparked the whole thing in the 70s.
Yes, but there was a rebellion against it, and we were part of that. And when the Kids in the Hall, each one of us was recruited, and each one of us was found to be wanting. I mean, at one point, Dave and Kevin and Luciano Casimiri, one of the original members, were all in Second City touring companies, but we were all let go for various reasons. Mostly, for me, it was because I did an improv nude. That wasn't acceptable. It was at a biker bar, so that was probably dumb.
Well, you didn't have leather.
So it wasn't really nude. It was actually Lucia's. It was Lucia's idea. We were at a biker bar in Kingston, and we were the touring company. And we knew that we were being provocative, so we did a wet T-shirt contest with guys, and they did not like that. And that was a night that the owner was going to jail the next day for 10 years for coke, for moving massive amounts of cocaine across the country. So that was quite a night, and I got in trouble. And then I was like, they brought me into Second City, and Sally was like, "What are you doing? You took your clothes off at an improv."
I never heard this story.
They did a wet T-shirt contest for bikers, and I like, yeah, but the guy was going to jail the next day. We had to give him something special. And,
he's still happy.
Yeah. So that was the scene, and we were wild. Like we were kind of like punks. The Kids in the Hall were very. We hated everyone but us.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. Yeah.
And Paul, so you were a writer on the show, and people who watch the show probably recognize you if you were in a towel right now.
Yeah.
I feel I'm sorry. I feel like I'm like a generic interviewer, but the towel thing. Where did that come from?
Well, I've been around for years because I went to school with Thompson. Right, we were at York University together, and when he joined the Kids in the Hall, I thought, this is fantastic. This is the best circus you could run away and join.
Yeah.
Because all 5 of them were so talented in different ways that it was kind of fascinating. It was always hard to, you could pick which Gabor, but it's hard to pick which kid in the hall is the best, right? Because they all are really good at certain things. So I was lucky to get a writing gig on the show. I started off as the assistant, and I was, like Bruce said, maybe the worst assistant of all time. I one time wrote down a phone number, but only 6 digits, so Bruce couldn't call them back. So I was terrible. And a year later, they brought me in as a writer because, I'd helped Scott with the Buddy Cole stuff, and I got this opportunity. I thought it was fantastic. And, I wasn't really a comedian, so it was a hard fit. But they liked me in a way that I don't think other people have had this experience. I always had a kind of a special role with the Kids in the Hall. And they were doing a contest, and they needed a prize. And a few days earlier, I'd been writing a sketch with Mark that didn't go very well. And I told him about a trip to the baths. And the baths, of course, are where gay men go to, walk around in a towel and have sex with each other. And Mark, in his mind's eye, picturing me in a towel, he thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever could imagine. And so when it came time to figure out a prize, he said, I think the prize should be Bellini in a towel. And everybody laughed. And I knew at that moment that I had to say yes, right? So I did. And I'm really self-conscious about my body. Like, for me to take off my shirt on television was a really big deal because I was always shy as a kid. And maybe I did that in part to get over that shyness, but also to be on TV because that's what everybody wants, right? And here was my opportunity, and I just wanted to take it. And it worked out well because I always did exactly what they told me to. You know what I mean? Like, stand here, go there, make this facial expression, lift that up. And, and they didn't give me lines because they knew I wasn't a trained actor. The lines would come out sounding horrible and wouldn't. So they just let me kind of be like a silent comedian. And use my face, It
was like Mark really understood at that time, like, what memes were. Like, that was like,
right.
It was like a meme.
Yeah.
And I think what I find interesting about the whole thing, I didn't expect it would take off so much, but it was what I find most amusing about it is that it's really based on gay sex, really, like bathhouse, but no one really knows that. So in many ways, it's like the YMCA of its generation.
Right.
Because no one knows that you even tell people the YMCA. You know what it's about, right? It's about guys going to the YMCA, cruising each other in the.
It was a bathhouse, basically,
blowing each other. Yeah. Like, no, it's not. It is, and even the guy who wrote it now, he said, "I love Trump doing it." It's never been about that. It is. Right. It is. It is a gay. YMCA is a song about gay sex.
Well, I'm no Victor Willis. I will definitely state for the record that it was a gay bathhouse image.
Yeah, like Victor Willis is completely
he's deluded.
Lying.
Yeah.
Who's Victor Willis?
He's the one who wrote YMCA.
He wrote the lyrics.
He's the leather man, right? Paul, is he the black?
No, the cop. He was the cop.
And it's a complete lie. It's like, no, you can pretend all you like, but
just you know what I think?
Why? It doesn't change it. It's still, and that's what Paul is. It's like,
well, you know what it was though. I think our fans thought I was adorable. Bottom line, that there was nothing cuter than the sight of me standing in a public place wearing only a towel.
Was there ever like a Bellini like teddy bear? Like,
no,
was there ever something like that? I thought I'd seen something like a teddy bear with the towel and then the hand.
Well, that's a great idea, like a little leather bear.
Yeah, I've seen the leather bears before.
But Paul, you should definitely have your own exclusive leather bear line. I would love to see Bellini in a towel on the side of like one of Elon Musk's rockets. That would
actually.
What are you doing? Oh, look.
George made this for me years ago. It's a it's a teddy bear wearing a towel. I don't know if you can see that. So
I want to show you what I got. A fan made for me recently.
Oh, the buddy. Yeah, I got one too.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Look at that. Looks more like a Liberace, but that could pass.
No face. No face.
And I got a little towel guy.
Oh, that's a towel guy. I thought that was
little towel guy.
Look at that.
So our guys are crazy.
I want everyone watching this to know I did not tell these guys to have their likenesses on hand. Their props on hand.
Cleaner likenesses. Yeah, pretty damn good.
Well, with Bellini, how you guys are talking about the towel coming from the gay bathhouses. There's like this there and like the YMCA too. There's a lot of like hidden gay messages in popular culture.
Yeah.
And what anybody who's a fan of the Kids in Hall, like, see, like it is not hidden. Like the gay comedy that you guys did was super aggressive, like in your face. Again, it wasn't like like a femme kind of like, cutesy, like gay thing. It's like, no, like in your face, like we're going to talk about, we're going to do gay stuff on the show, and it's going to be really fucking funny. From the very beginning with the Kids in the Hall, I made it very clear that I said, look, I'm a homosexuality and heterosexuality are going to be on the same plane. It's never going to be gay as a punchline. Right. And I didn't explain it that way, but it was very clear.
But to their credit, they all said yes.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. And that was it. And I think that was a big deal back then. I mean, comedy was deeply homophobic then. And that was a radical thing. And so they just went with it.
Yeah. One of my favorite sketches is Mark McKinney picks up Scott at a bus depot.
Dracula.
It brings him back
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
You just did it.
You guys did a lot. Yeah. We can talk about that too. And and just the reveal of Scott, like this happens to me all the time.
Every time I come to the city, some guy picks me up at the bus station. Gets me fucking drunk and then tries to blow me every time. Why can't guys just see me for me? And I'm just saying that was I didn't exactly live that life,
But you knew those guys.
I knew those guys, and I could have been that guy. Yeah.
I could have been that guy.
My favorite is when I'm going into Mark's bedroom and he's going, I'm going to need a lot to drink. He's like, I got a keg in the bedroom. And then I go, I don't come. No, I don't do anything. And then Mark goes, you come, don't you? And
I got that on TV.
We just did a TV, and fighting for that was wow. Those fights were incredible.
Oh yeah,
because our main censors seemed to me like I'm not going to say that I shouldn't say anything.
Yeah, but we had the greatest deal because we were co-produced by HBO and CBC.
Yeah. So
if one didn't like something, we'd just say, "Fine, we'll make it for the other guy."
Mm.
So we were always able to make everything right. There was almost nothing that.
Well, there were things that both people didn't want, but we could play each network against each other. And there are different standards in Canada and the States. There are certain things in this country that are absolutely taboo, but not in the States. And so vice versa. Like there are certain things religious, you can't say religiously in both countries. So we managed to get a lot out. And we were in a weird time, I think, when suddenly everything was accepted. And that didn't last very long. Yeah. But we were very lucky to do that. Plus, the five of us together, we were monstrous. And we're invincible. And we would just say no. We were arrogant. And we thought, we're just going to do this. It was fun. Really fun.
Well, when I look at like comparing, say, like you guys to to SNL, and not to shit on SNL, but what attracts people, I think, to SNL is not only the cast that they have, but whoever the host was. People want to see super famous people. They want to see Tom Hanks 11 times, doing sketch comedy. There, with you guys, it's you guys, and you're doing all the performances, and you're responsible for all the writing. So you guys assembled not only like amazing performers, but just insanely great comedy writers. Well, like,
yeah, we were all good comedy writers, and we learned from each other. And Paul said earlier, like everyone was so different, so everybody had a different style. And and then we had Paul in the room, and Gary and Frank, and all these great writers, and Diane. So
Brian.
We were very, very lucky. Plus, we were very lucky in that the comedy culture hadn't gone into we must represent everybody.
But it was starting to.
It was starting. Well, absolutely. That was absolutely discussion. But now we could never have a writer's room like ours. They'd have to insist on ticking every box, which I don't think is a way to make art. But we were lucky.
Yeah. And you guys too, like, me doing like, having done or doing a political satire or cultural satire.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of ideas that you guys did 30 years ago, I'm like, you guys already did it. You nailed it. Like, you can't really, you can't make it any better. The friggin' sketch where Scott identifies as an Indian woman.
Thank you.
Or Scott, Scott plays the, Dave Foley plays the daughter who brings home her black boyfriend. It turns out she's the monster,
I know.
And for me, it's always amazing that to see comedy that just holds up and stands on its own all these years later. And I've been seeing that with more and more. We're trying to see more with like stand-up comedy. And Scott, I know you're friends with Dom Irera, and Dom has a set that he did. I think it was on like Rodney Dangerfield's. Rodney Dangerfield used to have a show, I think, on HBO, like back in the 80s. And Dom does this 6-minute set that I'm like, oh my God, to be able to kill for 6 minutes the way that he killed then, and to have something that years later would still destroy in a room is amazing. And I look for any opportunities to sort of point people in that direction and say, this is how good stuff can be. This is how great stuff can be.
But you do great stuff. I mean, I've been a fan of yours for a long time, Lou, and you're very brave. And I've always thought, this guy's incredible. I mean, Paul and I are both huge fans of your book.
Oh, I read it twice.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I love the book, and you really captured what was wrong with comedy. Mm-hmm. And I do think we're on the other side. I think things are getting better. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I sure do. And,
well, it's weird what's happening with audiences too. How do you find that, Lou, when you do a show? Do you find there's a lot of scolds in the audience?
I think I've been lucky in that I haven't experienced that too much. And a friend of mine who I produce shows with, he had asked me if I change my material depending on the audience, with stand-up in particular. And I told him, I've been lucky in that I remember I headlined a friend's show in a very liberal part of town. Everybody in the audience was obviously liberal. And I did the same material that I did for a libertarian crowd, and it worked. And I think so. That's something that I hope I can do. Continue to do that. But unfortunately, I don't think alienated too many people on that. Online is different. Online, I mean, people will hate my guts, but
oh no, you're so hateable online.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and especially the last few days, I'm even saying to myself, okay, I think I need to take a break because
Hey, can I ask you one thing? Here's what I really want to ask you. This is the thing I really want to ask you. What's going on with all the drones in New Jersey? What's happening?
I have, I'll maybe I'll share that.
Did you see one?
Yeah, on December 1st, there was a little Christmas kind of activity in my town. And we're all waiting for, a tree lighting. And we look up and there's all these friggin' drones, a whole line of it. No clue. They just went over. And I don't know what's going on. A friend of mine had asked me if I had like any jokes about it. And I said, it seems like, aliens are just like us. Instead of enjoying the show, they're just going to pull out their phones and start recording it. But But I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think is happening?
I don't know. I'm just sort of becoming aware of it. And before this interview, I was online at YouTube I was Googling, I went, New Jersey drones. And I'm like, what's happening? Because I don't even know if I told Paul. I've almost never told anyone, but I saw about a month ago, I had a sighting. I don't know.
Of a drone?
No, I don't know what they were. I was in Brampton, coming back from Brampton with my brother, and we pulled into the McDonald's, and he went in to get some stuff. And I looked up, and there were 3 white, I don't know, dots in the sky, and they were 3 of them, and they were kind of maneuvering, and then one went voonk like this, and the other one kind of circled it. And I'm watching and going, what am I looking at? And it's near the airport, but they were white, and then there was one on the other side of the sky. And then it disappeared, and then it appeared on the other side of the sky with the others. And they kind of went voonk, 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 and then it disappeared. And it's weird. I've never even really talked about it because it felt so banal. I was like, what did I see? Because I thought it's so close to the airport, so they can't be drone. I don't know. I still don't know what it was I saw. And I looked online. I went, did anybody else see it? I don't know. And my phone was down, so I couldn't shoot it. But it looks like everything you see online with people, and they're just white spots and I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I have a feeling if aliens do make contact, no one's really going to care at this point. It's okay, it's oh, hey alien, did you vote for Trump? Okay, then, that'll determine whether or not we accept the person.
Well, the thing I was watching before I came online was some guy saying, well, it's either some general or something, and it was on Fox News, it was it was really on television, and he was saying, oh, it's either Chinese or it's ours or it's aliens. Well, you just say that on TV. Really? It's aliens. Okay. Oh, obviously it's.
Yeah.
Weird. But it should be bigger story, shouldn't it?
I would think so, especially, they look so low.
And you saw them and you think they were just drones and they were in a line?
They looked like so. Let me see if I could pull it up.
Is this the new version of the Chinese balloon?
That's what I wonder. It's the Chinese just want one last look before Trump comes in and tells Americans we could start shooting them down. Where is that? It was. Well, I don't even know if you're going to see this, but let's see. Nope. Whoop. No, that's pointless. No. Yeah. I'll send it. I'll send it to you guys.
That was good.
So tech savvy. Yeah. What just did that. Yeah. No. It is wild. It's just how I'm amazed that I'm not that interested in it. I should be, right? I've been fascinated
my whole life, and yet I'm not as interested as I thought I would be.
Yeah,
I can't explain it.
Yeah, I had a joke about how you could tell aliens are real because they've started calling illegal aliens undocumented immigrants, so they want to be nice to the bigger guys coming in.
That's this piece I have, which is in my new show. It's basically apologizing to the aliens for all the stereotyping over the years. It's Buddy Cole making an apology on behalf of planet Earth for all the de-alienizing portrayals. Yeah. He apologizes specifically for all the kids in the hall anal probing jokes.
I remember that. Why do we keep doing this? We just find all we know is that 1 out of 10 guys doesn't mind it. So I definitely want to let people know when you were last in town in New York and you did your the show King, your Buddy Cole show. It was legitimately I can't remember watching a funnier show in such a long time. It was it was painfully funny. Okay. And just to let the audience, the viewer know how funny it was. In days after that, Scott and I, we got together and he met my wife and my kids. Yeah. Scott to this day doesn't know what my wife's real voice is like because she was laughing so hard at his show that she lost her voice.
So when she was hoarse,
she was so hoarse. And what's so funny is because my wife has such a like itty bitty cute voice, but you destroyed her voice so badly because you were so funny. And to this day, you have no idea what.
I was like, "Why? I didn't know you were married to Roseanne Barr."
Yeah. You're like, where are the ashtrays from this chick? She must be
exactly. God, is that Lucille Ball coming talking to me?
But it completely. It was you killed like on levels that one could only dream. And I know that you're going to take it back on the road, right? So it's going to be a different.
I have a new show. It's called The Last Glory Hole, and it's starring me and Buddy. And it's basically I give half the show to Buddy, and then halfway through it, I retire him and I take over.
Look at that.
So it's a new show. I mean, there's stuff from the old show, but I think that's a really good title. Hopefully that will, bring what is it? Kids to the yard to see my milkshake. How does that go?
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Yeah, I think this milkshake will bring all the boys to the
yard. And just from like a fellow comedian's perspective, this is how annoying Scott is. Scott is retiring material that destroyed, and he's like, I'm not going to do that. We'll put it on later. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man.
Well, we got an album. We got an album to sell.
That's right. That's right. The album is terrific. And before I let you guys go, one thing I do want to talk about is we had the Kids in the Hall came back to Amazon for a season, and there were a number of like really great sketches there. But something that you've been open with, Scott and Paul, you've talked about as well, is what a nightmare it was to make that show for you, where I think the general public or fans of yours, if they probably wouldn't believe the shit that you had to go through to make it. Yeah.
It was a very difficult time. I'm very proud of what we did, because the Kids in the Hall really can't be defeated. You can do everything you want, but we're just very prolific, and no matter what firewalls you'll put up, we will find a way around it. But yes, it was a very difficult experience, and it was during the pandemic. It was during lockdowns. The censorship was, I think, in the West at its peak, and we were like the perfect target for it. 5 old white guys.
Yeah.
So, but it's over, and this is the thing. One of the things I have to say about like this album is that this album wouldn't have come out. It wouldn't have come about if the experience with Amazon hadn't been so difficult. So I'd like to thank Amazon for Valley of Song, because their heavy-handed treatment of us led to this.
Into I think the Buddy Cole show too, right? Because so many of those monologues were.
Well, that's the thing about all these things. I go, well, yeah, it was a struggle, but I came out the other side, I think, better and maybe funnier. So right now I'm in a place where I go, I'm not angry anymore, and that's the beauty of art. It'll drain it away from you. Right? It's like transmutation. It's alchemy. You turn into something else. And then lo and behold, you go, oh, I'm not angry anymore.
Right.
I gotta find something else to get mad about.
I think though with you, it's like you do stuff on stage, the audience loves it.
Yeah.
And yet you like when you did the lesbian impersonation.
Oh God,
a couple of weeks ago.
Jesus
and
Christ.
He was talking about the top dike. And he starts doing this like caveman walk, right? And it's like really insulting. And it was horrible. But the audience couldn't stop laughing. I mean, there were howls of laughter.
Yeah, but it was shocking.
But you could see that on paper would not pass. Even if it was on the show, they would pull it. Like your audience goes with you. Your audience knows to go with you, and I don't think they feel shame. They don't stop themselves.
No,
right?
It doesn't live on paper, because it's true to write down, and then I turn into hideous stereotype of an evil
comedy. It has to live in the moment, right?
And I take on the voice of an old witch. It just and I'm all hunched over, and I went really far. And I kind of know that I went too far,
but it was the best moment of the show.
It
actually was the funniest thing all night. So,
and everybody was shocked.
Yeah,
it was shocking. But
that's the Kids in the Hall experience, right? Being shocked and thrilled at the same time, and laughing.
Yeah, and that I sense that's coming back into comedy. That feeling of like, are we allowed to be here? That's, I think, so important.
Well, we got to get rid of gatekeepers. That's the first thing we got to do.
Because the gatekeepers are people that are humorless.
Humorless.
No gatekeeper is a hilarious person. And true hilarity is a very dangerous thing. And people that like to hold on power, they don't like funny people. And so anyway, that's
you performed a couple weeks ago. Dave was sick, right? And we
did a benefit for Paul because Paul is fighting cancer right now, multiple myeloma. I'm allowed to say that, Paul?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because I was feeling I wasn't sure.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah.
And
I tell everybody anyway. So.
He does.
That's how you get free drinks. So,
but I can't drink.
That's the problem.
Oh shit! Come on, bullshit.
So we did a benefit for Paul. It was a big show, but Dave Foley was sick, and so we had to fill in for him. And I got to do something that I've been wanting to do for a long, long time, which was Citizen Kane. Kevin and Dave, one of their, I'd say probably their best scene, probably the best scene they've ever done.
Yeah,
and I think it's a masterpiece. And I just said immediately, I'll do Dave's part. And I mean, they loved it, and I knew I would capsize it immediately, and I did. But it was beyond fun. I don't think I've ever had that much fun on stage. I remember looking at Kevin and going, "Oh my God, he's laughing so hard, his ribs are gonna break." and he literally was going, "My ribs are breaking." And I'm going, all my instinct was to go harder, like,
yeah.
Well, then I got to go harder and. To make Kevin laugh like that is just truly a joy to do. And I'm doing it because I'm fucking Dave's piece up completely. Like within 1 minute, he says, Citizen Kane, I go, that was what it was. Yes.
Did you get to the knife?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fuck that up, too.
Comes on, and he's got this stupid character called Sergeant Bobby. And oh, my, we've got to stop this now. I don't like where this is going. He comes on, he's like a gatekeeper, and he comes on in this stupid Bobby hat and pretends he's like an English Bobby, and he puts us back together, and then he leaves. We do the scene, it capsizes again. Bruce comes on with some stupid character, and we managed to get to the knife right to the very end. We did the whole scene, and it was so much fun. And Paul and I sang one of our songs in it too. We sang
Beam Me Up.
Beam Me Up. And one of our duets, which is about Paul as a
15-year-old.
Meaning is there's this guy, a new guy comes to town. He's an American boy. And Paul's like falls in love with him immediately because he looks like Captain Kirk. And he looks like William Shatner.
He's a Canadian boy. He's an American who looks like a Canadian.
He looks like a Canadian boy, so I might have a chance. And then Paul, it's a song about grooming, and then Paul kind of grooms. But it's this lovely song about a gay teenage boy seducing a straight teenage boy.
It's sweet.
Well, I think one of my favorites is was it "I'll Be Your Hole"? Is that
Hole? Be my hole. Yeah.
Be my hole. Yeah, that's
our only love song.
Yeah, that was. Had I heard it in time, that would have been my wedding song. That would have been so.
But that is a beautiful thing to say to someone, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know. And when I heard your wife's voice, I went, "Oh yeah, you could sing "Be My Hole" to this hag."
This deep voice,
this drunken,
this fucking
hag.
Demi Moore throated.
Be my gaping hole, you. You New Jersey bus stop prostitute.
So romantic.
Yeah.
So romantic.
Well, Paul, how are things going with treatments and stuff and all that? Because you look good.
You look great.
Yeah.
The face of cancer. What happened is I started to get my chemo in the spring, and then in the summer I had diverticulosis and my lower bowel burst, and I had to have emergency surgery, and I had an ileostomy bag for 2.5 months, probably the most horrific thing anyone would ever have to endure. And then they reversed that surgery, but then it took 9 weeks for the wound to heal. So 5 months out of my treatment were taken up by this stuff. Now I'm back on the cancer treatments. And tomorrow I finally get my stem cell collection, which is they take stem cells out of your own body and they harvest them and put them back into your body at a later date. And that basically destroys the melanoma and allows the bone marrow to go back to functioning and make hemoglobin. So tomorrow is a big day for me. It's quite exciting. A day in a hospital.
Do they extract the stem cells through your cock? Is that? I hope they do.
If only it was that easy.
I remember the diverticulitis. My mother had a similar thing, and
she didn't have a cock.
No. She borrows my dad's when she needs
Did she have an ostomy bag though?
Yeah, she had the bag. I forget for how long, but it was just so demoralizing for her, and cleanliness.
It's grotesque.
It's grotesque, and but the saving grace is that it was reversible, and yours is reversible. I think it's just incredible the stuff that they're able to.
It is incredible.
Yeah, they took my small intestine and put it on the outside of my body so that it could still expel waste. I mean, it's kind of genius until you're doing it, and then you realize this is the most horrifying thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
But it's hard not to get involved in your medical treatment. It's kind of fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to learn all the words and figure out all the procedures, but I would like it to end soon because I am getting tired of being a patient.
Yes, and I think it's time for us to start writing songs about it.
Or at least go back to performing.
You know what's interesting? Lou, many years ago, back when we were young and we were writing songs and we would just write them constantly, we did write a song called Gucci Colostomy Bag. I've got a Gucci.
Well, we had a friend who had a colostomy bag, but he always liked to put on airs. Yes. So he said he had a Gucci colostomy bag. And then 40 years later, I got my own.
He got his own. Yeah.
Okay. But yours is a Louis Vuitton.
Yes, absolutely.
Now I'm just thinking, like, the world is so sick that I bet there are people out there who are going to identify as, having a rupture, a ruptured small intestine and say, no, I need that on the outside of my body. This is
absolutely. I'm sure there's people getting that sort of thing, like
for fun.
Yeah, for fun, probably.
Yes, for fun and sympathy. Everybody loves sympathy.
Yeah.
Did I?
You don't.
No, I hate it.
No, I don't. No, you don't. No, and you don't get it from me.
No. Well, thank God. That's why we're so close.
No, I'm really.
Come on, you lazy fuck. Let's go.
Yes, it was a lot like that.
Look, because I fucking had cancer. Come on, Jesus Christ, get up off the bed. Get to hell. Got work to do. No, but Paul and I are good. We don't do that for each other. We don't.
No, I think Scott's cancer actually, to me, which was something that was treatable and had an end date,
yes,
was really inspiring. So that when I got sick, I thought, okay, let's put it in perspective. It's not pancreatic.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to kill you.
So I can get through this. If he could, I can.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that both you guys have gotten through this conversation.
With Lou.
Yeah. Well, I just want to admit something. So I've known you guys for a little while now, and I always felt funny about inviting you onto the podcast.
Why?
because I don't know, like with friends of your stature, I'm kind of like, I don't want to feel like I'm being like needy or asking for a big favor or, you know. So when the opportunity came with the album coming out and you guys saying like, oh, we'd love to do your podcast, I was like, oh, this is a dream come true. So.
Oh, for me too.
Yeah.
No, we love you, Lou, and
love you guys too.
Hilarious. Yeah, and this is nice. But we did have to ask you. we did, right?
That's true. And I almost pretended like I didn't know you. Like, who are you guys? What?
Yeah, go through my people. I'm not. Yeah. I don't know who you are. I just can't unsolicited calls like this.
The band is Mouth Congress. Paul Bellini, Scott Thompson. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Lou.